What's up, guys? Welcome back to Be Better podcast. I am not throwing a disclaimer on this today. It is New Year's, and this is a vulnerable cast, I guess we're going to call this.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear that though Chris and I give a lot of good information from the life lessons that we've lived and the conversations that we've had and the things that we've learned, a lot of people believe that we just have this perfect relationship. Mm-hmm. And neither one of us are perfect people.
Right.
You know, it's New Year's Day, so happy New Year's to everyone. I spent about 5 hours last night staring at the ceiling, going through it. I've been processing a lot of 2021 and 2022. I mean, realistically, I processed probably about 7 years back last night. Spent a lot of time praying, trying to, ask for things that I really shouldn't have been asking for because I know what's going to come from me asking for those things. But I want to have an accountability moment, and I thought that this would be as difficult as this is going to be, that this would be a good discussion to have with everyone so that people can see that we're fuck ups.
Right.
Like, we've done a lot. I personally, I believe that everything that I've ever done in my life is a direct action of a decision that I've made, good or bad. It all comes down to decisions that I've made. And, I have borderline personality disorder, and I try not to ever throw that around as an excuse for the decisions that I make. But I know that there are decisions and things that happen in my life that are out of my control because I react because of my BPD. That is a whole another discussion. I have done a lot of self-help books. I've done therapy. I've done dialectic behavioral therapy. I've tried to do a lot of things to make my borderline not be a deciding factor in the way that I handle things. And as much as I want to believe that I've got that shit under control, there's just times that I don't.
Right.
So while we were laying in bed last night, I was, processing everything and realizing all of the lies and the shortcomings and the flaws that I've had, the infidelity that I've had in past relationships. I've cheated. There's been a lot of things that I have done that I don't believe in. As a man, I think that a lot of the things that I've done is wrong, but I've had to do those things and I've had to learn those lessons to be able to grow from them.
Right.
But that doesn't excuse the behavior that I've had. So I had a lot of time last night to think about the way that I've handled things in the past and the fact that there were conversations that should have been had, but because I didn't have the communication skills or know how to articulate myself or even have the fucking backbone to have those conversations, there were people that I loved that ended up being hurted. Best friends, I have had bridges burned. Past lovers, my ex-wife. There's a whole lot of things that played through my mind last night, and a lot of it comes down to, the last 2 years of my life, I've been trying to find who I am. I'm trying to rebuild the man that I believe I am, because everybody's got this idea in their head of who they are. Mm-hmm. You have a mental image, like, my eulogy conversation that we've had. I want, when I die, I want somebody to be able to be like, he was a good man and a leader of men. And while I was laying there last night thinking about deleting myself off the planet, like heavily deleting myself off the planet, I realized that in the event that I did that and my eulogy was read, that could not be said in honesty.
Right.
And that's a fucking problem for me. I have been doing everything I can to work on being a better communicator, knowing where my triggers lie, where my shortcomings fall, where my where my weaknesses are, where my strengths are, so that when that veil of who I believe I am is ripped off again and I'm able to look at who I am, I might be able to look at me in a different light.
Right.
I don't want to be the guy who relives those past experiences over and over and over again in my head, but I know that that's something that's going to have to happen until I process things. I also know that the, how do I word this? All of it, everything that all of the good and all of that, all the flaws, the foul shit that I've done, all of that is done. It doesn't matter if it was done yesterday, 2 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's all done. Mm-hmm. None of it can be taken back. None of it can be changed. I can apologize. I can move on, but it's done.
Right.
And I will be the villain in people's stories because of the decisions that I've made in my past. And that shit eats at me because I don't want to be that person. I am working on being a good man. You and I have an exceptional relationship. There are things that still get hung up between past relationships that come, you know, when it comes in, it's going to happen. And in the last 2 years, the amount of time that I've spent working on myself, I really thought that like I was past all this shit. I really did. I believed that like I had done enough work. I believed that I wasn't bringing baggage into our relationship. I believed that like I had done the dirty. Like I'm good now. I'm a better man. I'm ready. I'm focused. I'm still learning. I'm still reading self-help books. I'm still on YouTube trying to learn new things. I'm trying to, you know, better the business and rekindle friendships. And I'm trying to do all these things to be that person that I believe that I am in my head. And it takes one person pulling on a thread to unravel all of that shit for me. So we get emails from people every day. Literally every day we get emails. And there are times that these emails come through and we read them and there's like, we can't help you. Like this isn't even something that we can touch on. We've had people emailing us about dead children. We've had people emailing us about infidelity. We've all of these fucking emails, porn addiction. And like, I gotta be honest, some of these emails, like they drag me down. We start these podcasts and we're in such a great high spirit, good mood. And after doing 3 hours of emails or 4 hours of emails, by the time we get up, we're like, fuck, I know you feel it. We're exhausted. We go sit down on the couch and we're tired. Like we'll eat, come back and try to get more content up because we're trying to have content every day. And it's mentally exhausting. And there are times that people send emails and I'm like, okay, I can relate to this. I've been on one of either one of these sides of this coin. I've either been the guy that's doing the foul shit or I've had it happen to me. And I can try to, you know, put my points of view, like this is how I handled it, you know, and I can try to deal with those things. And I also believe that anybody can be redeemed. I believe that if you really want to change, you will. I believe that nobody's going to change you. You know, all the things that I've done in my life, even when I was doing the bad things and like I just accepted that that's who I was and that's what I was doing, there was nothing that anyone could say or do that was going to make me change my behavior. I had to live that life. I had to learn the lessons from it. I had to experience the trauma and the hurt and all of that shit to make myself want to be a better person. So in the event that you guys are with somebody and there's infidelity and they're cheating or there's a porn addiction, although I've never experienced that. I've never had a porn addiction and I've never physically abused anyone. I've never put my hands on my woman ever in my life. So I guess those are redeeming qualities, you know, but there's a whole lot of other shit that I've done that's wrong. And, you know, I'm fucking 42 years old. I've got 4 decades of shit that I've lived through. So when I tell people, you know, when we have these emails and I'm like, this guy's too far gone, you can see it. He's showing you he doesn't want you anymore. It's because I've been there or because it's happened to me. And when there's infidelity happening and people are like, do you believe they can change? Yeah, I fucking believe they can, but they have to want it. The situation has to change. They have to go through what they're going through to learn, like, this is not okay. I realize this is hurting somebody else. Fuck, I realize this is hurting me. Like, there's a whole lot of things that go into that. You know, it's the same thing with breakups and divorces. Like, there's a lot of processing that has to happen. And if you're not willing to do it and you're just jumping from relationship to relationship and you're not doing the dirty work, you're not reflecting and you're not accepting that you're not fucking perfect and there's room to grow and be better, you're not going to grow and be better. I asked you to sit down today because I wanted to not just make a solo video where I'm talking to the camera and to the people who listen to us, because though I know you would watch this if I did that, like I want you to know that, like, I genuinely want to be a good man. I
see it. Like, every day you prove to me that that's what you want.
I don't want to relive past experiences. I don't want to regress and wake up 10 years from now and be like, damn, this is exactly where I was when I was 37 years old. Like, this is exactly where I was when I was 40. The whole point of life is to grow and evolve and learn. And I believe that God will continue to put obstacles in front of you. Sorry.
It's okay. This is heavy shit, and I'm actually really proud of you for being able to put this on the internet.
I'm really going through it. I know that God will put obstacles in front of you repeatedly until you learn to overcome those obstacles and you overcome them the right way. You are not going to navigate a situation, come out unscathed, and just keep moving on with your life if you didn't learn the lessons. You have to learn those, and we can't learn from other people's mistakes. We can recognize that other people fucked up and that they were hurt and that they were like, damn, you know, that sucks. But until it's you that's wearing those shoes, standing in that position, you don't get to experience everything that goes on there. It's no different than the postpartum conversation we had last night in that email. I will, as a man, will never be able to understand what a woman goes through in postpartum depression, no matter how much I read and how much I try to grasp it. There's an emotional aspect there that I can never physically experience. And because of that, it's all theoretical.
Right.
So in the situation where your parents are like, don't touch the stove or you're going to burn your hand, you're going to touch the stove and burn your fucking hand because you have to learn that lesson.
Right.
I don't know. I did not want to start 2023 off the way that we've started today off. And I know that's, I apologize. It's not something that I wanted you to experience either. I can't control when my brain does what my brain is doing right now.
I know.
And I've tried a lot. I've tried therapy. I've tried plant medicine. Mushrooms. I've done everything that I could try to do to try to like fix my borderline and make my brain better and not be depressed and not be suicidal. And there's nothing that I can do. And even when I go to doctors and they give me medicines, the meds work for a little while and then they don't. And when they don't, and you go from being on a high and everything feeling great and you plummet and everything comes crashing down, it's so much harder than just going through the depression. This did not go at all as I'd planned on it going.
Yeah.
I also, I guess it should be clear that we're not having problems. Like
No.
You and I are great. We are living as the way everything has always been going. I am processing a lot, and we've already talked about it. We talked about it from 1 until 3 in the morning last night. And then again, as soon as I woke up today, I don't know. Maybe this is my email to us to try to get help. I don't know. I don't want to be that last minute, like, cry for help either. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know that the things that I've said and done can be apologized for, but that's the extent of that. Like, even in the event that I really truly tried to make amends, in a lot of the scenarios, it's not going to do any good. It's not going to change the way things have played out. Things are the way they are, and that's just the way it's going to be. And I understand that too. And I've told the people that I've hurt, I'm sorry. I've even tried to make amends with Forrest. Like, I know that I've burned a lot of bridges. There's been people that I was close to in the past that, like, they don't exist to me anymore, or I don't exist to them. And those are the decisions that were made that I have to accept one way or another. And though that sucks, like, I can learn from that scenario, and hopefully in the future, when I have new people come into my life that I bond with, I can maintain that friendship in a different way and save it instead of letting things fall to the wayside like they have in the past. I don't know.
I feel like they also have to be good people, though.
Yeah, but I'm not responsible for them. I'm responsible for me.
Right.
And that's
That's one of those things where you can't sacrifice yourself because you want to be a good person to a shitty one.
Yeah. Again, though, I can't, this is an accountability thing.
Right.
I don't harbor resentment towards people for the things that they've done to me in the past. Anyone, literally anyone. There are people that I don't like because of the things that they did, and I know their personality and I know who they are because they've shown me more than once that that's who they are. And in a sense, I'm looking in a mirror in that aspect because I've made a lot of those same decisions in life. So what goes around comes around. This is the karma that I'm reaping for all the foul shit that I've done my entire existence. And I do believe that I'm taking steps to right wrongs, and I'm trying to put enough good out into the world by adopting families for Christmas, donating to no-kill shelters, sending people money for Christmas when I know they don't have it, doing the things that I'm doing. But, after reflecting last night, I obviously don't feel like I'm doing enough because I'm genuinely upset about a lot of things.
Right.
So now I have to go back to the drawing board. I need to figure out why I haven't been able to let go of what I haven't been able to let go of. I need to start journaling again. I need to start reading again. I need to really start delving inward to try to get over the shit that I've done and the shit that has been done, because I'm only responsible for me.
Right.
I can't change the past. I can only try to make sure that the future doesn't take that same path, and hope for the best. I don't know. This is a 15-minute podcast at this point, and like I may not even put this on YouTube.
Yeah.
I really sat down because I needed to process some shit. But I think it would be good for people to see that we're not perfect. Like we
Right.
don't have all the answers. We don't have it all figured out. We are still working through a lot of shit on our own.
Like we are actively doing the shit that we preach
Right.
about.
Yeah. It sucks.
It does suck. And like I don't know how comfortable I am saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway because what you're going through right now could cause a lot of issues in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people might not be willing to understand what you're going through, or because they're hurt by whatever you're going through, they're going to focus on their own pain and you're the cause of it. So now it's going to cause attention. Well, this isn't easy for me.
I know it's not. I know it's not because I know how our night went last night because of all of this.
So like now I know there's a possibility, like the time that we have the kids, it's going to be stressful and frustrating and it's hard, but I don't blame you. I understand what you're going through. Like thinking that you have everything together and then having hitting a fucking brick wall and realizing you're not as set as you thought you were. That's devastating shit.
Yeah.
Like that's like having a sandcastle. Like you just built this perfect fucking sandcastle and it's all cohesive and it's together and a wave comes. Everything that you just built's undone and you have to rebuild it in a different way so that wave doesn't hit it again and take it down. I'm over here crying and you're talking about your experience. Seeing you in this pain sucks. And I think in instances where like one partner is going through a depression and another person has to witness that, people feel helpless and they want to fix things and then they get frustrated because they can't fix things. And that's when that comes in like, well, why can't you just feel better? And that creates tension.
Yeah.
I recognize that there's really nothing that I can do. And because that there's nothing I can do, why would I add on to that with anger and frustration and resentment and make the whole situation worse? I think it's really important to realize like your partner's a human being. And like you putting yourself out here the way you are, even if you use this, if you don't, then all of this is irrelevant. But if you decide to put this out there, your partner's a human being who goes through shit. And you can't get angry when they go through shit. Like I've devoted myself to you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And even in hard times like this, I still have to maintain being your peace. When you're going through something and I'm going through my own thing and shit's just crazy, that's when tensions rise.
Right. Things get difficult for sure.
Right. I don't know. It's really important for me to be a sanctuary for you. So in moments where people would feel validated in anger and frustration and wanting to be resentful and pushing you away, like those are the moments that I want to be closer to you. I feel like all of this sounds stupid.
No, I mean, it's the way you feel. This is not, this is not an easy thing. Like I'm one of those people that, I'm the 80s baby. Like, don't fucking cry. Suck it up, you pussy. You know what I mean? Like, this is not an easy thing. And we talked about it a lot this morning before we actually sat down and did this because I wasn't sure that this is, I don't think this is a good idea. I think that there's value here. And I think that people can see that, you can learn from your past and you can try to work on being better. People can be redeemed.
All right.
People can grow and they can make decisions to be better, but they have to want that change. And they have to continue to want that change because once the motivation of wanting to be a good person fades, the discipline that you've instilled during that time of motivation is what's going to carry you through. So, the last 2 years has been very just crazy. And the last year has been very, very crazy. Like it's been a fucking roller coaster. And, I really felt like I had it under control. I thought that like I had processed all my shit. I accepted who I was and what I've done. And like, I don't know.
Yeah, the rug pulled out from under you.
Yeah. Yeah, and then hit with it. I don't have anything else. I'm going to watch this and then decide whether or not I'm going to post it. But in the event that this gets posted, guys, I really hope that this does not deter you from sending us emails. We definitely don't have our shit together like everybody believes we do.
Right. We just have the tools to cope with it.
But we've been doing the work, and we have been doing the work. You know, we've been reading and communicating and doing everything that we can do to make sure that we don't repeat the past, because we both have one. Mm-hmm. And we've done a very good job at it so far.
Right.
You know, and there's not been arguments. Like, we've not had major fights even. And I really thought last night was going to be one of them. I really thought last night was going to be a big fucking deal. And though it was a big deal, we didn't go to bed angry. Like, there was a conversation that was had, and we laid there and watched TV until we both fell asleep.
We cuddled.
Yeah, we did, for like 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew I was awake. You rolled over at one point and you knew I was awake. I don't know if it was my breathing or if it was the fact that I was constantly tossing and turning.
I think it was you rolling over.
But you knew I was awake, and you put your hand on me and you were like, "Are you okay?" Like, you knew that you could have just rolled over. You could have been like, "Oh, he's not sleeping again." Rolled over and went back to sleep and completely ignored me. You know what I mean? And I needed that last night. I needed that conversation. I needed that touch. I needed to know that, like, that it still mattered that I woke up today. Sorry about that. For those of you who are not familiar with borderline and don't understand the way that depression with somebody who has borderline works, people who have suicidal thoughts and deal with suicidal depression deal with it differently than people who have borderline. You take that and times it by 100 with borderline, and that's the case. So when I have thoughts like the one I was just trying to convey, you think when you're depressed, you think, I could just end this and the pain would go away. I wouldn't hurt anymore. It would be done. Then you add the borderline to that, and it's no longer just my pain would go away. Others' pain would go away. You're the problem. You should remove yourself. If you remove yourself, other people's lives will be better because you're no longer the problem here. And those thoughts encroach and they amplify, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And I really didn't want this podcast to go that route. I really wanted to just sit down and kind of own some of my shit from the past and be like, hey, I'm not perfect. I am working on taking accountability. I'm a very flawed individual, and I have done everything wrong in every relationship I have ever been in to some degree, and I'm owning that. I've made my apologies to the people that I can apologize to. Not that even remotely fucking matters, because they're already moved on with their lives, and I'm not trying to gain anything from it other than them knowing that, like, hey, I am trying to be a better person. But even in doing that, that's a me thing. I'm doing that for me. They don't fucking give a shit. They've moved on with their lives. Mm-hmm. Why would I even take the necessary steps to try to atone to them?
Right.
I don't owe them anything. They don't owe me anything. There's not a reason for us to even have these conversations. And there have been a lot of times in life where I've reached out to people from my past, and I have been like, hey, I know that I did this. I know that I said this. I know that you said this too, and I forgive you for it. I'm not trying to, rekindle anything. I just want you to know, like, I realized I was a piece of shit at the time in my life. I'm sorry. But that also is a me thing. People don't need that. People don't need you to reach out to them after 20 years and apologize for something you did. People have moved on with their lives. It may make them feel better for a day or two, but they don't give a fuck.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. I just didn't want to end this abruptly with me fucking about to lose my poo. So do you have anything that you want to add to any of this?
Yeah, I guess people have been asking me, like, things that I do to be a better wife. Feel really fucking stupid. Like, here's a wife tip.
Last night was one of those things, though, on all fronts. Before we went to bed, when I was awake in the middle of the night, and then again this morning. You know how easy it would have been for you? I'm sorry. You know how easy it would have been for you to just be like, this is affecting me too. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, and I've experienced that. I've had a lot of people that don't understand borderline just be like, why can't you just be happy? Can't you just get over it? Like, it's a choice. Choose to fucking be happy. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
the fact that you made a conscious decision to realize that I was really truly struggling and put yourself second in that scenario is how you that's your wife tip. That I mean it literally changed the course of my night last night.
Yeah. Like when you're going through it, it makes it hard for me because I go through it too. Like when you're going through it, I'm fucking going through it.
Right.
When you're happy, I'm happy. And those times that where we're going through it, like last night you said I could just roll back over and not give a fuck that you were up. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
You know, those times where if something's going on and you're being distant and, you know, you haven't kissed me good morning, or like I'm cooking in the kitchen and you're not being goofy with me the way you usually are, a lot of people are, all right, fuck him.
Right.
Like he's not being affectionate with me. I'm not going to be affectionate with him. Like when you're going through things and you're a little more withdrawn than usual, like I will still come up behind you and give you a kiss on your neck and tell you that I love you and be goofy with you and sit on your lap and try to make you smile. It's hard. But I push myself to do those things because I know you're not doing this of your own fruition.
Right.
I would put money on the fact that if you could pay somebody to fix your fucking brain, you would do it.
Yeah.
So why would I make that harder for you?
You know, we talk a lot about reciprocating energies and to give back what you put in, and we talk about having to be the bigger person. And nobody wants to be the bigger person all the time. If this was our life all the fucking time, it would be exhausting for you and you wouldn't want it. You would get to the point you were like, this isn't worth it to me. Like you were basically having to put yourself second to a fucking nut job. Somebody that's got a mental illness is fucking struggling with their entire fucking life to try to just have some semblance or hope of happiness. It's not fair to people. So I understand that when we talk about being the bigger person and reciprocating injuries, the fuck. That sometimes that's not an easy thing to do, and people absolutely don't want to be the bigger person all the time.
Right.
Those conversations need to be had. You really need to talk about like what is the underlying problem? Like why are we going through this still again today, day after day after day, until you can understand what's really going on, and maybe that understanding will be a wake-up call or a break in what's going on, and it could lead to healing, and it could lead to a new process of thought. It's necessary. If you love your person and you really believe that you're going to spend the rest of your life with them, sometimes that's just the way you have to do things. Excuse me. I also know that you deal with depression and anxiety, and you have your moments, and I know that there are things that you need when you're going through it that were things that I had to work on actively making the decision to give you when you're going through it, because I have always been a match energy person. That's a borderline thing. When I think you're off, I think I'm a piece of shit. There's no reason for you to be here anymore. You don't want me. And that abandonment shit kicks in real fucking hard for me. But I've also had to realize that you're a whole person just like I am, and your issues are not negated just because I'm here. So like I've had to actively work on giving you the affection that I know you need when you're going through things. And it's not easy. It's really fucking not easy. Just like you said, when it's not easy for you to try to comfort me when I'm going through what I'm going through, because you get on this roller coaster with me. Mm-hmm. But you're worth it to me. So I try to do those things, even though it's putting me out to do it sometimes. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
I get it. I feel like I do the same thing sometimes.
But it's necessary. And I think that that's also why we have the relationship that we have, and we have the healthiness that we have, because once everything kind of calms down, it's like nothing happened.
Right.
And I'm not saying that we just forget that there was a problem, but we've talked about the problem while we're dealing with what we're dealing. And when things are calm, it doesn't feel like there's an underlying issue anymore. It feels like we just kind of naturally work through it. Now we're going to watch TV and have some popcorn and fucking have a dope night, because we worked through what we needed to go through, and it not being a blown up ordeal. Does that make sense?
It does. Like, we don't blame the other person
right.
for their mental illness. Like there are times where I have PTSD from things and I get triggered hard. And in those times, like you don't get mad at me for those things.
Right.
You could get extremely pissed off at me and be like, well, why don't you just fix it? I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to leave until you calm down.
Right. And that's the thing for people.
It is a thing for people.
We've both experienced it, you know. I don't know. I don't have anything else on this topic, and I really don't want to start crying again. So
yeah, I'm done.
All right, guys. If this gets posted, I apologize for all this. I know this is not our usual content, but I wanted you guys to
We're human beings.
Yeah. See that we're not perfect and that we are still trying to get through the same shit that you guys are. We're just giving you the information that you don't have yet, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully that helps, and hopefully it prevents you guys from having to go through some of the shit that we've been through, and if it doesn't help, then fucking we're wasting our time trying. But I know from some of the emails that we've received that we are making change, and you know,
Right.
I don't know. I hope this maybe changes the light of things for us a little bit, if that even remotely makes sense.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
Yeah. I think that people view us the way that they view us. I think that there's, because of our appearances, because of the things that we talk about, people who even know us in real life, like, I've actually heard people be like, I can't believe they're giving relationship advice. Like, because they think that, you know, everything that we've gone through, like, who the fuck are we to give relationship advice?
Yeah.
After everything that I've just laid out today, why should I be telling anyone anything? I've cheated, I've lied, I've done all the fucking foul shit that you can do to somebody besides put my hands on them.
But you've also done the work to not be that person anymore.
I am doing the work. I'm still doing the work to not be that person anymore. I don't want to be. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror and fucking hate who I am.
Right.
So if this podcast goes live and it changes the way that we're viewed in other people, or it changes the light that we are viewed in, is what I meant when I said that a minute ago.
That makes sense.
That's what I'm going for. So guys, we'll see you later. I hope you guys have a good New Year's, and I hope that this did not fucking ruin your day.
Yeah. Happy New Year's, guys.